Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Live from COP. I'm Maia Sparkman, Associate Director of Climate Diplomacy at the Atlantic Council Global Energy Center, and I am thrilled to be joined here today with Tamara Wittes, Director of Foreign Assistance at the U.S. Department of State. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here, Maia.
So how is the U.S. government shaping and contributing to the global climate agenda here at COP28?
Yeah, thanks, Maia. I think for us, this year is really about outcomes. We have seen a lot of plans in place, a lot of promises made, and this is when we all need to start delivering collaboratively in order to achieve the progress that we know we need to make. We want to see a robust, ambitious first global stocktake. We know it's going to show us that we are not where we need to be, right? And so we hope it'll galvanize additional commitments and additional action. We want to finalize some funding arrangements for loss and damage, which has been a major topic here this year. We want to see some further guidance to advance the adaptation goals from the Paris Agreement. And so we're really looking for strong decisions, strong outcomes.
So a big topic of this year's COP, and same with the past several years as well, and I think looking into the future, the big question is money. Where is this money coming from, and how do we finance both the energy transition, but also the climate adaptation and resilience needed, especially in developing economies and emerging markets that will be most impacted by the impacts of climate change. So I'm wondering how your office and the U.S. government is approaching the climate finance question, especially as we're here at COP28 with the Loss and Damage Fund just announced. There's a lot of excitement and energy, and hopefully we'll see these dollars reaching these communities. But curious to hear how you guys are approaching it.
Yeah, so look, I think that is a perfect example of where we need to go beyond promises and start showing outcomes. I'm really encouraged by the OECD analysis that suggests that maybe we've already reached our goal of $100 billion in climate finance globally. If we haven't, that we'll reach it next year. As far as the United States goes, we have also been working very hard to manifest President Biden's promise of $11 billion in climate finance. We are already at $9.5 billion, and we think we're on our way to reach that goal in 2024.
And can I ask where the 9.5, what is the collective makeup of this 9.5 billion?
It is a range of instruments. Some of it is, direct contributions to multilateral development banks that are then using that for climate finance. Some of it is contributions to climate funding instruments like those that have been built in previous COPs, including the new fund to respond to damage from climate change. The United States announced a $17.5 million commitment to that new fund at this COP. Other components of that funding is funding through the Exim Bank or the Development Finance Corporation or other instruments where we're bringing in other money, not just U.S. taxpayer money.
And I think that that's something that has been shown at this COP is that various stakeholders that are here present at the table, it provides this opportunity to be able to leverage and mobilize this number of financing when it seems such a great amount that that might be hard to achieve, but that there's so many different opportunities to be able to work together with others to be able to achieve this. And so I guess to wrap it up a little bit, I'm wondering, as we're starting to go into the close of the negotiations, what kind of gaps or where should more pressure be applied to be able to, I think even looking beyond the negotiations as well, to be able to carry this momentum forward, looking into COP29, COP30, instead of just seeing announcements, where do we see these outcomes and projects like you mentioned, and where will we see those, and what can be done in the middle, kind of as checkpoints to be able to hold ourselves accountable as well to make sure that these commitments are being made?
Absolutely. I think that's the right question to ask is how do we establish milestones to hold ourselves accountable individually and collectively? In the United States, the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act gave us a tremendous set of tools to meet our national goals. And we're doing that through the President's Emergency Plan for Adaptation and Resilience, we're also doing that in partnership with state governments, with cities and local governments across the country. So we are establishing our own milestones and creating a whole set of new incentives in the U.S. economy to support renewables, to support the innovation we need to build a greener economy. I think internationally, we really need to look at decarbonizing and how do we get rid of coal, move it out of this mix? How do we really demonstrate the commercial viability of renewable energy in the developing world? And again, do it in a way where indigenous communities, local communities are involved in project development from the get-go, and they are the ones that see the financial benefits, not just the private sector investors who may come in from outside. I think I've focused a lot during this COP on climate finance, talking both to private sector and to developing country governments about where those gaps are and how the United States can use not only our contributions to multilateral development banks or to some of the climate funding instruments, but also our bilateral programs in countries around the world to try and bridge the gap between what's happening on the ground and what it takes to bring the private sector in a robust way. Sometimes that's on the policy side, regulatory frameworks for high integrity carbon markets, for example. Sometimes it's on the project preparation side so that developing countries can get these projects teed up in a way that can really market to the private sector. Sometimes it's unlocking capital, and we have the USDFC Development Finance Corporation as a tool to help us do that. So I think that we in the U.S. government have a lot of great tools in our toolbox to help fill those gaps internationally, and we want to work with as many partners as we can.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks so much for sharing, and thanks all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.